We are done with the all-terrain tyres. This episode we're going to be removing the spacers from the rear suspension, swapping over the wheels, replacing the front brake rotors, and we're going to be replacing the spark plugs in preparation for the New South Wales 6 hour that we'll be doing at the end of April. Can you just video? Freedom. So here we have the Yokohama Geolander Geo12. I've taken these through some rough terrain. They've been on sharp rocks, sand, mud, and I cannot speak highly enough about these tyres. Moving on from these all-terrains, we're going to be using Dyno's 07S. One step before going to a full slick. I've heard amazing things about these. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform on track. The brake rotors we'll be using are exactly what's been on the car for as long as I've been racing, and that is the DB8 T3 4000 series rotor. Now you can go higher, but I haven't needed to yet. I've bought all my brakes, pads and rotors from Sydney Motorsports. They've been a massive supporter of the channel since the beginning. Let's go.
I don't have a hoist, so it's the old jack and jack stands for me. When I took off the wheel, I found something I didn't expect, but at least it's an easy fix.
I haven't really looked into this car since doing the trip, and I've just found that this here has come undone, and this holds the boot on for the drive shaft. I believe it's just the dust. There's no grease around it, so I'm hoping there's no further issues. In here we have the spacers that, if you remember, we installed for the Supra to Uluru trip to get this car a little bit taller. Now it's time for them to come off. Admittedly, these shocks should also go in the bin and get replaced, but I don't have new ones just yet.
I've taken out the suspension, and as you've seen before, we removed the strut spacers from these nuts here on the top. Again, I want to thank Envious Customs for making these for me. They are solid, and I had full faith in them the whole time. I'm not putting the semis on yet because I've got a motor Kana and I just need some tyres to thrash around, but they'll be going on soon. And now it's time for the front brake rotors. Just need to loosen up the wheel, jack up the car, move it out of the way, loosen the caliper, take the disc off, and there you go.
These are the old rotors that were on the car. As you can see, they are worn out, very easily seen on the other side. There is nothing left of the slots.
Brand new rotors on the car, changing over to the other wheels. All that's left to do is set the suspension. Who doesn't love brand new brake rotors?
Spark plugs that I run in this car are NGK BKR7E. So to replace the spark plugs, we need to take off the spark plug cover. After this, we need to disconnect all of the ignition coils, loosen the brackets that hold them down, and then take them out. This allows us access to the spark plugs. We'll then get our spark plug socket and remove them one at a time. When you buy spark plugs, they are sometimes set to a specific gap, but to make sure they're exactly what you need them to be, in this case I'm going for 0.7, you need feeler gauges. A feeler gauge will have different thickness sheets with different measurements. As you can see here, 0.1, you got 0.15, 0.2, 0.28. We have to make 0.7. There is not a single one that actually says 0.7, so we're adding together 0.4 and 0.3 to make 0.7. Now I put them in here, and that is actually perfect. We check each individual spark plug, and if you need to adjust, you can use the feeler gauge to bend upwards to make the gap a bit bigger. Or in cases like this, where this one is a little bit too big, goes into here a little bit too easily, you just tap it on the ground, and that will close that gap. There are specific tools for this, but this is the easy way. Now that's tight, it's just making contact, but it fits. If it's too big a gap, it gets blown out and you'll have misfiring and poor performance. If you have too small a gap, it'll probably do random little pops because it's too small a gap and it's actually not igniting the fuel properly. There is such a thing as too small.
That's what she said!
The old plugs look like this. They've been used for a very long time. They're dark, they're dirty, and we are throwing in now some brand new, very pretty, fresh plugs. And as always, we put everything back in the same way we pulled it apart. With the brake rotors done, the new spark plugs in, and the new wheels on, we're done for this episode. Time to get ready for the Motor Kana with the Sydney Datsun Club.